What evidence do you have? 4 simple words that just shattered DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's defense of deporting a 4-year-old American citizen battling stage 4 cancer. Congressman Seth Magaziner didn't just ask questions. He systematically dismantled every excuse for why innocent children, gay asylum seekers, and U.S. citizens were torn from their families and shipped out of the country while Noem's department ignored Supreme Court orders and basic human decency.
I yield back.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize Mr. Magaziner for 5 minutes.
Madam Secretary, on April 24th, a woman in Louisiana was deported along with her 7-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son, both of whom were U.S. citizens. The 4-year-old son had stage 4 cancer. Now, you just stated under oath that the mother consented to having her U.S. citizen children removed. But I have spoken with the attorney for that U.S. citizen child with stage 4 cancer. She has also made numerous statements to the press in which she stated unequivocally that at no time did the mother consent to her U.S. citizen children being removed. What evidence do you have to support your claim that she did consent?
Congressman, we followed the same policies and procedures
What evidence do you have?
And we
what
have
evidence do you have?
We have documentation that
what documentation do you have that mother consented?
We will get that to you, sir. I don't have it with me.
Please do. I understand it's hard to keep them all straight because you've deported multiple U.S. citizen children, but I'm asking specifically about the 4-year-old with cancer who was deported on April 25th. For the record, that family was also not given access to legal counsel before they were deported, even though their lawyer was in the same building at the time. I'm holding in my hands here a document called ICE Directive 11064, Interests of Non-Citizen Parents and Legal Guardians of Minor Children. This is the policy for how ICE agents should handle situations like this. It states unequivocally that parents and legal guardians should have the ability to make alternative care arrangements for minor children prior to their arrest or detention, and that ICE must afford parents the opportunity to consult with legal counsel. So, did the ICE agents working on this case who deported this 4-year-old with cancer of their own volition fail to follow ICE policies, or were they directed to by your office or anyone else in DHS leadership?
Sir, this mother chose to keep her child with her.
You have not produced any evidence to say so, but I'm asking again, have you directed DHS officers to ignore this policy?
It's very different than the previous administration.
Right.
The previous administration
on March 15th, reclaiming my time, on March 15th, your department sent 3 airplanes to El Salvador. Those planes carried approximately 261 individuals who were imprisoned upon arrival. Did you personally review and approve the names of those 261 individuals before they were sent?
Sir, we have deported and sent home
Did you review the names of those individuals?
And we have individuals that have the
Why won't you answer the question?
Within the Department of
Are you
Homeland
aware
Security.
of whether those 261 individuals were given the opportunity to speak with a lawyer or appear before a judge before they were put on those planes? Yes or no?
Sir, every single individual followed the exact same process.
They were not all given the opportunity to appear before a judge or speak with a lawyer. On April 7th, the Supreme Court ruled that detainees must have an opportunity to have a hearing before they are deported. Are you familiar with the April 7th Supreme Court ruling?
I am.
Can you assure us that in the future you will abide by that Supreme Court ruling to provide detainees with a hearing before they are deported?
Following all judges' orders, yes, sir.
I have a photograph here of André Hernandez Romero, a gay makeup artist from Venezuela. He fled Venezuela fearing gang violence because of his opposition to the Maduro dictatorship and his sexual orientation. He presented himself at a port of entry and requested asylum. His claim was found to be credible, and he was placed in detention to await a full hearing. But he never received a full hearing because you put him on one of those planes to El Salvador, where he still is today. Listen to me. He had no criminal record in the United States or in any other country. He did not even enter the country illegally. He presented at a port of entry. He tried to do it the legal way, and to this date, the only evidence your department has presented to justify his imprisonment is that he had 2 tattoos, one that said mom and one that said dad. Do you have any other evidence to present for why this individual should be locked up in El Salvador?
Sir, every case is used
Do you have
the
any-
same protocols and the same processes and inputs.
Do you have any
that
evidence
that
other than the
law enforcement
tattoos that say
officers
mom
use in
or dad
criminal
for why
cases?
this
So
individual
it's not
should be
just on
locked up?
tattoos. It's who they're affiliated with, their communication.
You have not
who they're
presented
spending
any
time
other
with,
evidence,
criminal
nor has your
activities.
department.
The cases
Reclaiming
will
my
be
time,
exactly the
during
same
your
as it was
confirmation
when
hearing,
other
you said your focus would be on deporting immigrants who have been convicted of crimes and those who have received removal orders. But that is not what you have been doing. Instead, you have been deporting children with cancer, children who are U.S. citizens, a gay makeup artist who committed no crime and didn't even enter the country illegally. You have been sloppy. Your department has been sloppy, and instead of focusing on real criminals, you have allowed innocent children to be deported while you fly around the country playing dress up for the cameras. Instead of enforcing the laws, you have repeatedly broken them. You need to change course immediately before more innocent people are hurt on your watch.
Gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize.
What you just witnessed wasn't a routine congressional hearing. It was a systematic dismantling of how American immigration enforcement has abandoned both legal standards and basic humanity. Congressman Seth Magaziner didn't just ask questions, he methodically exposed how DHS under Kristi Noem has created a deportation machine that targets the most vulnerable while ignoring Supreme Court rulings and constitutional protections. The case of the 4-year-old cancer patient reveals something deeply disturbing about current enforcement priorities. When a U.S. citizen child with stage 4 cancer gets deported alongside their undocumented parent, we're not talking about immigration enforcement, we're talking about state-sanctioned family separation that prioritizes optics over outcomes. Magaziner pressed Noem for evidence that the mother consented to her children's removal, and her response was telling, "We'll get that to you, sir. I don't have it with me." That's not bureaucratic oversight. That's evidence of a system operating without proper documentation, legal safeguards, or accountability. The ICE Directive 11064 that Magaziner cited isn't obscure policy. It's the fundamental framework designed to protect children in these exact situations. It requires agents to allow parents to arrange alternative care and consult with legal counsel before separation. When these protocols are ignored, as they clearly were here, it suggests either widespread incompetence or deliberate policy to circumvent legal protections. The fact that the family's lawyer was in the same building during deportation proceedings, but was denied access points to the latter. Then there's the case of Andre Hernandez Romero, the Venezuelan asylum seeker, whose story exposes how arbitrary current enforcement has become. This man presented himself legally at a port of entry, had his asylum claim deemed credible, yet was imprisoned in El Salvador based solely on tattoos reading Mom and Dad. When Magaziner pressed Noem for additional evidence, her only response was vague references to affiliations and communications without providing any concrete justification. This isn't law enforcement, it's guilt by association based on body art. The Supreme Court ruling Magaziner referenced from April 7th established that detainees must have hearing opportunities before deportation. Yet the 2061 individuals sent to El Salvador on March 15th were denied this constitutional protection. When a sitting DHS secretary acknowledges a Supreme Court ruling but cannot explain why her department violated it weeks earlier, we're witnessing institutional lawlessness disguised as immigration enforcement. What makes this particularly dangerous is the pattern it reveals. Noem's department isn't focusing on individuals who pose genuine public safety threats. They're targeting the most defenseless, sick children, asylum seekers following legal processes, and people whose only crime is existing in a system designed to fail them. Meanwhile, actual enforcement priorities, like organized crime networks or repeat violent offenders, receive less attention because they require complex investigations rather than headline-grabbing raids. The human cost extends beyond individual cases. When families see U.S. citizen children deported with cancer diagnoses, when asylum seekers following legal procedures end up imprisoned based on tattoos, the message is clear. The system cannot be trusted to distinguish between genuine threats and vulnerable people seeking protection. This erodes community cooperation, makes witnesses afraid to come forward, and ultimately makes everyone less safe. Congressional oversight exists precisely for moments like this, when executive agencies operate outside legal boundaries while claiming national security justifications. Magaziner's questioning demonstrated how effective oversight functions: methodical fact-gathering, specific policy citations, and demands for evidence rather than rhetoric. His closing statement wasn't political theater. It was a warning that when enforcement agencies abandon legal standards, they threaten the constitutional framework that protects. The real test now is whether this exposure leads to policy corrections or gets buried in the news cycle. American immigration policy affects millions of lives, and when it operates without legal guardrails or humanitarian considerations, the consequences extend far beyond individual cases to the integrity of our entire justice system. What's most troubling is Noem's repeated deflection when pressed for evidence. "We followed the same protocols" became her standard non-answer to specific legal violations. This suggests either willful ignorance of constitutional requirements or deliberate strategy to avoid accountability. When cabinet officials can't explain their department's actions under oath, it signals institutional breakdown that threatens democratic governance itself.